Our 5 a.m. alarm hasn't changed in years, but I swear those chirping birds and the wake-up light come on earlier and earlier. Or in other words, with this full season of life that we're in as a young family of 7, getting up and out of bed in the morning ain't always easy. In fact, it's more and more common for the snooze button to get hit a time or two these days just out of sheer necessity. But this is also the time, and I mean like the only time throughout the day where the house is quiet. It's a time that the two of us have really come to value for some peace to start out our day with. And that alone is motivation to rise and shine early before the rest of the house starts to stir. The first thing I'll usually do is dial up our AGA oven to its ideal temperature setting. It's a cast iron cooker that runs on gas and is on all the time. We've found we like to lower the temp when we're done cooking in the evenings, especially in the summer, to keep our home cooler. But it does take an hour or two to get fully up to temperature, so I like to turn it up first thing, but it's still plenty warm at this point to do things like cook our breakfast on.
I start every morning with a glass of room temperature water with a little bit of lemon juice and salt in it. So this is something that I started a year ago when I was pregnant because I found that it really helped with swelling in my feet and ankles during pregnancy, and then it's just something that I've kept up with ever since. Then I cook my 4 eggs, add a spoonful of liver pate and sauerkraut on top. Don't knock it till you try it. It might sound weird, but it's my super nutrient-dense, energy-rich breakfast that really just keeps me going all morning. If we have leftover roasted veggies, I love to add those as well, but today it's just gonna be the eggs. I usually listen to the audio Bible while I'm eating my breakfast, and then ideally I can finish my whole breakfast without Sam waking up. And while I'm making and eating breakfast, Jim has his own Bible reading plan that he likes to do, so he's starting his day with that.
Yesterday's reading ended on it. Meanwhile, back in Egypt, Joseph's behavior is a refreshing contrast to his...
He went up to Timnah to his sheep shearers, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. Tamar was told her father-in-law was going up to...
And while Sam's schedule isn't 100% consistent, he's still waking up a couple of times each night and will often wake up in the early morning to eat, and then we'll go back to bed for another hour or two. So after feeding him, it's time to head out to milk Thimble. And while a couple of our kids have expressed interest in coming out to milk more often, and our oldest is getting quite good at it, I've intentionally kept this as something that I do by myself most mornings. Slipping out of the house while everything is calm and peaceful outside is so good for my soul. It's become this time of quiet meditation to start the day that I love and really look forward to. Thimble and I have a good thing going, so I'm hanging on to that for as long as I can. In the summer, when it gets lighter early, this is the order that we do things. However, as the days get shorter and it gets lighter later in the winter, we'll flip the order of our mornings so that milking happens a little bit later when we have more daylight. We do think that Hazel, which is Thimble's calf that's now 2 years old, is actually pregnant and will hopefully be calving in early spring. So when that time comes around, we'll need to figure out a new game plan because I don't think that I want to add milking 2 cows to my morning routine. But for now, I'm grateful for this time alone outside with the cows. When Thimble has a calf, our routine has always been to separate Thimble from her calf at night into the next paddock section so that I can milk her in the morning. However, lately, because the pasture has been so lush and thick, and with Coco, her calf, being on the younger side, Thimble has still been really full when we leave them together, and I've been able to still get 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons each morning. So that's what we've been doing, just leaving them together, and we're still getting plenty of milk.
Maybe you picked up on this, but when it comes to breakfast for our family, eggs are the name of the game and the main course most mornings. Occasionally, someone will get me a bottle of hot sauce as a gift, which I love adding to eggs in the morning. But this time of year, there's always a large mound of hot peppers on the counter that I'm working my way through. These ones aren't anything too hot, and I really don't even remember what type we got this year, but it's producing these giant peppers, and with eating one a day, at most given how big they are, I can hardly keep up with them. Peppers are the one vegetable in our house that no one is crazy about, so at some point we stopped growing them. But the last couple of years we've planted just one hot pepper plant and those things just go crazy. So I just dice it, cook it up on a cast iron pan, and scramble 4 eggs right into it. Most mornings I'd have a little bit of our homemade granola with milk, but Joelle made something special for the kids for breakfast and she just told me there was some extra for me, so I'm holding out for some of those.
These allegations. Powell's
As Powell explained it.
After milking, I head back in to strain the milk. This is also typically around the time that our kids are waking up, or at least 2 or 3 of them. Our straining systems are as basic as can be. In fact, when we bought Thimble from another family back in 2019, this was the same straining method that they used and showed us what they did, and we've continued to do it this way ever since. I place a clean dish towel on top of a mesh strainer with a half-gallon liquid measuring cup underneath it and let the milk strain through the towel. The towel is thick enough with a fine enough weave to let the milk go through, but it will catch any debris or flies that happen to find its way into the milk during the milking process. There are much more specialized and sophisticated, fancier straining tools out there that are probably awesome, but this way has always worked for us. And when I get asked if I'm concerned about drinking the fresh milk from Thimble, my answer is this. When I'm so intimately involved in the process, from cleaning her off to milking her by hand and seeing each drop of that white goodness hit the pail to then straining her milk, I would know if something isn't right. Most commercial cows these days are milked with robot milking machines. And while I'm sure the farmers are paying attention to the cows to some degree, they are not in there every day with the same cow in the same way. It would be so much easier to miss something if something was off with a cow. But with Thimble, I see all and would know if there was something to be concerned about. As soon as I finish milking, that milk immediately gets chilled in the freezer, which is a very important step to keeping it as fresh tasting as possible for as long as possible. But it's also important to set a timer after doing this so the milk doesn't freeze, because way too many times I've told myself that I'd remember to take it out only to find myself with a frozen bottle of milk and sometimes a cracked jar to go with it. So I set the timer for around 2 hours and usually take it out of the freezer right around 9 a.m. You guys, do you want to come get breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's grab some hard-boiled eggs. We'll grab the milk and then we have the muffins.
Mom, you can have a full glass of milk in a little cup, 2 eggs, and some muffins.
Sounds like a great breakfast. Our kids always wake up ready to eat. They too typically have scrambled eggs for breakfast with yogurt, but lately they've been giving me a little bit of pushback for having scrambled eggs too often and have wanted some variation in their breakfast, which totally makes sense. So a couple times a week I've been trying to do something a little bit different to switch it up for them. There you go, beautiful. Yesterday I prepped these oatmeal pumpkin muffins. I'm still working our way through last year's butternut squash harvest, and I want to finish that before we start this year's harvest. So we've been making pumpkin pancakes, pumpkin chili, pumpkin muffins. Those are all staples around here.
1 and 2. These aren't good.
These are the easiest muffins to make, and I love that they're more nutritious than your standard muffin. They're made with oats instead of flour, and then a little bit of maple syrup as the only sweetener. They have fresh pureed pumpkin or butternut squash in this case, and all you do to make these is throw all the ingredients in the blender, blend them up until smooth, and pour them into prepared muffin cups. I like to mix in a few chocolate chips and then sprinkle a couple on top as well. These are kind of like a mixture between baked oatmeal and a muffin. They have a heartier and denser texture, but in a good way. Everyone loves these, and they're gonna have them with hard-boiled eggs that we already had ready in the fridge.
I don't know if I want to double stack them because then your chocolate chips are going to get all smashed. Alright guys, we got them all. The whole lineup. Ready to go.
Joelle will always tell you that she feels best when she can get up and move her body first thing in the morning. Me, I'm fine when my morning starts on the couch or in a good rocking chair. But at the start of this year, we made a commitment to work out together most mornings, usually Monday through Friday, and here we are still going strong. We've been going through the different workout series on the channel Nourish Move Love. Lindsay Baumgren runs that, and the thing that I love about her workouts is how efficient they are. Most are about 20 minutes long, but you feel like you've crammed in an hour-plus long workout into that time. Growing up and through high school and college, I was very active and involved in sports, but I've never really done much actual strength training before, and I've often made the case for it not being necessary living in this very active farming and homesteading lifestyle. But in reality, yes, I have daily farm chores, but a good chunk of the rest of my time is spent behind a camera or computer, making or packing soap bars, and it's not all that physically demanding. So overall, it's been a positive for us to stick to these workouts pretty regularly these last several months. I think we would both say that we feel great, and Lindsay really doesn't focus solely on the strength end, but also on things like mobility and balance, which, having turned 40 this summer, I'm definitely feeling things more than ever, and I've appreciated being forced to bend and move in ways that I'm noticing are less easy than they were a decade ago.
Work.
So it's time for morning chores, and every other day right now I am bringing out one of these 40-pound bags of chicken feed from our garage to our barn for our chickens. We have like 80 plus layers right now out back in our egg mobile. They go through a lot of feed. So for morning chores, I just fill up a bucket with our chicken feed, so about half of a bag at a time. And I also get some mineral for our cows. We're using the 10 Fine with garlic from Redmond Agriculture right now, and actually they just started making that with organic garlic too, and so that's what we got this last time. But that's really helps to keep down the fly pressure. Right now it's like peak fly season, so there's a lot of flies in general, but it helps overall throughout the season to keep down fly pressure for the cows. And I also get some food, dog food for Stella, and bring that out back. Oh, and one more thing. I'm gonna try not to get stung as I go into our barn here. I got stung by there was like a wasp or hornet's nest right above the door into our barn that I didn't know about, and I got stung I think 2 days ago now, and then I knocked down the nest or hive yesterday. Hopefully they're gone, but we'll see what happens as we go in here. There's one of those guys that got me. Still hanging around. Part of doing chores, whether in the morning or evening, is observing, making sure everyone and everything is looking healthy and how it should. And you don't have to be a seasoned farmer to notice that we've got some not so happy cows this morning. Good morning. They're actually somewhat spoiled and often give me the razzmatazz whenever they want to be moved to fresh pasture, even when they've got plenty of fine grass to eat around them. But they are in the last paddock of the large section of pasture that we've been working them through, so it's probably time to start thinking about moving them into the next setup. Maybe I'll even try to squeeze that in this morning if we have time.
All right, Stella, come on over here. All right, can you sit? Can you sit? Oh, good girl. Good girl, Stella. Good girl.
My first stop is always giving Stella her food, and Stella is a Maremma, which is an Italian breed of livestock guardian dog. She gets plenty of meat scraps and things like that as we have them, but morning and evening we give her some dry dog food. And the reason I like to do this first is not so much so that I can keep an eye on Stella, but more so to keep an eye on the cows. Sometimes Stella just walks away from or doesn't finish all of her food, especially in these really hot stretches of summer, and the cows are usually right there to gobble down the whole bowl of food when they have the opportunity, which isn't good for anyone. So I like to stick around for an extra minute to make sure that Stella is the only one chowing down.
Good girl, Stella. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Next, mineral for the cows, and I just dump that into a rubber-weighted feed bowl for them. There are some stretches where the cows won't really be that interested in the mineral and I can cut back, but right now in these summer days, they're often licking this bowl clean by the end of the day, so I like to give them plenty. Sometimes chicken chores can be a little more involved, but this morning, literally all I have to do is dump in their bucket of feed, shake down the feeders, and they're good to go. And with having so many chickens in the coop right now, we did add a second feeder that I keep in the back of the coop.
That's right. Got a little transport there.
I filled the chickens' waters the night before, so I'll give them a quick check right now, but I've actually got 4 waters out there right now for them, so I'm really only needing to refill their water about every 2 days. You'll see that as the chickens eat from the feeders, a decent amount of food falls through the open grated floor at the bottom of the coop to the ground below, and then the chickens outside tend to congregate there to scratch and peck at whatever feed comes their way. Plus, the chickens just hang out under the coop since it's a nice covered and shaded spot. I just moved these chickens here maybe 3 days ago, and with some 80 chickens in our flock right now, that patch of pasture below the coop is already in danger of being scratched away. It wasn't on the docket for the morning or day, but moving the eggmobile again seems like it's also going to be necessary. Chores can easily take 2 or 3 times as long as they did today, but with everything else planned for the rest of this morning, I'm grateful for a morning of easy chores. With how full things have been this summer, I'm trying to keep things as streamlined and simple as possible out here.
Hey, Benny. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Do you want some breakfast? Mwah. After working out, there's about an hour for the kids and I to clean up from breakfast, get dressed and ready for the day, and I'll also use this time to prep anything I need to for lunch or dinner. So our lunch is gonna be pretty simple today, but I am going to get a whole chicken with broth slow cooking for us to have for dinner. The kids also like to use this time after they're ready and while I'm still finishing things up to get a jump start on their homeschooling. It's a perfect time for them to do independent work, So this typically includes copy work, handwriting, cursive, typing. What they do is a little bit different for each kid depending on where they're at.
Mom, I can kick it.
What do you think, they're soccer balls?
Yeah, what's this? It's so hard. That's not.
So high. The two biggest barriers I've found to smooth and peaceful mornings are 1, if I'm stressed out, and 2, the distraction of my phone. Jim recently said to me, "Your job is to create a calm and peaceful home. Productivity and learning will follow." And it's so true. When I'm calm and patient and joyful, take things one thing at a time and move more slowly throughout my days, everything just goes so much better. There's less fighting, more positivity, more learning happens, attitudes are better, all the good things. But you guys, this sounds so much easier than it is. I regularly feel frazzled and overwhelmed. This is an area I'm constantly seeking to grow in and needing to regularly ask for forgiveness from Jim and our kids when my attitude shifts more towards stress and wanting to be more productive, to check off my boxes while putting aside what's best for our family. The second thing is my phone. Text messages, emails, notifications are always tempting. The days that go the best are when I set it aside in a different room and don't look at it until after lunch.
What do we got? Grinder. Want some coffee? How many scoops?
3.
3. How about twice that? Go an extra strong. It's Monday morning, Clara. 3. Oh yeah, it's a good scoop.
6.
6. All right.
Find it.
Here we go, grind it. All right. All right. I'd really love to already have had a cup of coffee by this point, but with grinding whole beans and not wanting to wake the kids up early, I usually just wait until after I'm back in from chores for that first cup.
It's always my goal to start with the main part of our homeschool day by 9 a.m. So right after I get Sam down for his nap, we get started. And that always starts with reading the Bible out loud together. And then I get going on school stuff with our bigger kids. And today, while the bigger kids and I are going, our younger ones, we're gonna pull out their KiwiCo crates and they're gonna work on those. And we love KiwiCo crates, you guys. So I'm very minimal when it comes to toys. The main things that our, especially younger kids play with are our Brio train sets, Lincoln Logs, things that were honestly handed down from Jim and I's childhood are their main favorite things to play with. But I love adding KiwiCo crates. They get so excited for a monthly package delivered in the mail to them. And honestly, over the last couple of days, every single one of them has told me how excited they were for today so that they could pull out their KiwiCo crate and see what was inside. And for our older kids, I have been so impressed by the different like science technology things. Our daughter has made a couple of robots that our kids still play with multiple times a week today. They are super, super cool. And it's so cool to say that, you know, she made it herself. So I know you're gonna love KiwiCo as much as we do. And it's actually one of my favorite gifts to give. You can get 50% off your first monthly crate with code FROMSCRATCH. Just use the link in our description below.
3, 2, 1.
All right, what we got here? That one not looking ready yet. What we got over here? Okay, ooh, all right. Okay, so Joelle is inside homeschooling right now with the kids, and she asked me to come out and harvest some vegetables for lunch. And I was really excited to come out and check on our sweet corn because we haven't harvested any of that yet this year, and haven't really even checked on it too much. But what I'm looking for with sweet corn to know that it's ready to harvest is that the silks on top have kind of started to brown or die back. So actually this one's looking nice and ready. I'm going to go ahead and harvest this one here. Just kind of pull it down, snap it off. So you can see that silk is brown on top, it's dried out. You also want to feel it and make sure that it's nice and kind of plump and full feeling. And actually if you open these up, the husk of it up, and then you squeeze one of the kernels. So we got, oh yeah, look at that. That's looking nice and full on the inside. If you squeeze one of the kernels, you want like a milky juice to come out of it. And so that's exactly what happened here. So this one is perfect, ready for harvesting. I'm gonna try and find a few more just like this, and then we're gonna be ready for lunch. With what I'm seeing of our sweet corn, probably more than half of it is ready right now for harvest. So we'll need to get out here in the next couple of days to harvest most of our sweet corn for the year. Last year we froze several gallon-sized Ziploc bags of it that we're still working through, but this year we have a freeze dryer as an option, so we'll see what we do. We'll also just enjoy as much of it for fresh eating while we can, because there's nothing better than fresh picked sweet corn right off the cob. It's good looking corn. This Three Sisters row is 150 feet long, so we have a lot of stalks of corn growing. And one of the questions we get often is, how do you get your corn to pollinate growing in a row like that, since corn pollinates through the wind, and it's supposed to be grown more side by side in rows, making more of a square or rectangle in order to pollinate? I honestly don't know that I have a great answer, but we've never not had our corn pollinate, and each stalk always produces a couple good ears of corn for us. Maybe it has something to do with the overall diversity of what we're growing out here, or maybe we just get lucky, but the 4 stalks of corn that we have in each of these Three Sisters mounds always pollinate fine. While I'm out here, I grabbed our potato fork as well, and I'm going to try and harvest a couple plants worth of potatoes to have some on hand. There's potatoes. All right. Looking good. We've been eating through last year's supply of potatoes up until recently, so everyone is going to be very excited to start seeing fresh potatoes again. Many of our potato plants are still green and growing on top, but our red potato plants seem to die back earlier than the rest this year, so that's where I'm going to start pulling from. This is the red Norland variety, at least that's what we think they are, and we've been really impressed with both how they taste and how well they store for us. And a lot of our other potato varieties typically have blemishes from pests when we pull them out, but they seem to steer clear of these red ones, so it's always fun pulling out these untouched beauties. A nice potato. Alright, so here's our little haul. So we got enough corn for lunch today, and then nice little potato harvest. This should last us a meal or two. We're kind of just harvesting on an as-needed basis right now. We'll do a big harvest of everything later here in the fall, but for now we just grab as we need.
Here Mary and Joseph found a bed of soft, sweet hay. That night was a blessed night, and that lowly stable became a holy place. This tiny child was her own baby, but he was also the son of the great and mighty God. Mary looked at him tenderly, adoringly, for she knew that this tiny child was to be the Savior of the world. We just jumped back into our homeschooling rhythms last week and are still easing our way in and finding out what routines are going to work best for us right now. But my non-negotiables during this time, besides going over the copy work that they do every day and did earlier, are language arts and reading, which we've always used the All About Reading and All About Spelling curriculums for that, and then math, which we use Charlotte Mason arithmetic. I bounce back and forth between our older 2 kids for the most part. Often there's something that they can work on independently while I'm working with their sibling. Otherwise, they can read a book or help one of their younger siblings with a project that they're working on. I don't have a set order that we do things, but we tend to focus on the thing that is most challenging for each child first to get that out of the way while they're the freshest, and then we go from there.
So,
This is World Watch.
After we finish, we like to watch World Watch, which is a 10-minute news program for kids. It's a great way to bring in current events to discuss, and it's really well done and engaging. It makes for good motivation for us to complete everything else so that we have a chance to watch World Watch before breaking for lunch.
UK county of Essex. One farm remains green amidst a drought that's gripped the land.
While homeschooling is going on upstairs, we made some shampoo bars over the weekend, so I'm going to head down to the basement soap studio to cut those bars. This is what we call a double-double batch, or basically filling all 8 of our soap molds, so I'm going to be down here for a bit since cutting soap bars isn't the fastest process. When we started our soap business, selling our soap bars on our website earlier this year, the big question was, how are we going to make this work in our already very full lives? And for the most part, we've been able to fit it into the margins. How it usually goes down is Joelle measures out and melts oils for making soap right before she leaves to take one of our kids to their evening activity like ballet or jujitsu, and then I'll come in afterward to make up the batch of soap while they're out and about. Tasks like cutting soap bars are nice because I can really just come down here and crank it out whenever I have a spare hour or two. Figuring out these systems has been one of the highlights of the year for me, and it's always so satisfying to bring another rack of bars over to start curing, knowing they'll be ready to package and ship out in another month. And if you haven't checked out these shampoo bars or our dish soap bars yet, we'll include a link for our shop below, and you can find out for yourself why we've been having a hard time keeping these soap bars stocked.
For lunch today, we're having pork chops with applesauce and roasted corn from the corn that Jim just harvested. In order to make this all work with farming and homeschooling, meals have to be simple. Lunch is either something that I can whip up in 30 minutes or less, like today, or something that I started in the morning and have slow cooking, or is prepared and I can just do the final steps of it now and pop it in the oven. First thing is shucking the corn, and then I like to drizzle it with either a little olive oil or melted butter and some salt to keep it moist while baking.
Time to bake it.
After that's prepped, I'll bake it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for around 20 minutes. And when the corn is cooking, I pull out the pork chops, and I'll make that by cooking them on high heat on a cast iron skillet on the stove. With different activities that our kids have around dinner time, lunch is often our slower meal where we all sit down together and linger a bit more without having to worry about getting out the door to be anywhere.
would you like it?
Fresh from the
Farm.
fresh from the farm, fresh from the garden.
Often by the time the afternoon rolls around, we'd be happy to call it a day. But there is still plenty that keeps us going until our heads hit the pillow at the end of the day. Housework and projects, cooking, other farm tasks on top of the chores, editing videos, making and photographing pictures for blog posts, shipping out soap orders all over the country, and then everything that goes into the life of our family. It's a full season of life that we're in. So while I might have dreamed earlier that I'd have time to squeeze in moving the Eggmobile and our cows to a new pasture in the morning somehow, it's okay that here I am now just getting to it at the end of the day. With the Eggmobile, I'm finding that it's much more manageable to just do these small, simple moves more frequently and just pulling it ahead maybe 20 or 30 feet so I don't have to take a lot of time and move all of their fencing with it. And with our cows, while they're out back in our electro-netting sections for the majority of the growing season, I'm so grateful that we have our permanently fenced-in paddock up front that I can move them into now and again. With everything on our plate that we have planned for the rest of this week, we were already wondering how we were going to get it all done, so somehow it always feels like just the right timing when we're ready to move the cows up front to this pasture again. There's no way I would have had time to set up the next section of electro-netting, so moving them up front is such a relief. And really, that's how we found this life of homesteading and faith tends to go. Any given week, or day, or sometimes even morning, we look at the list of things to do and wonder, how are we going to get it all done? But somehow, we always get there. It's not always pretty or according to plan, but we get there.
Wow.
Man,
Good.
I'll be curious to see what this looks like when it comes off.
This is really cool. Whoa.
Nice. Fun.
This is really cool.